The AAC Report is brought to you by Blahut of Realty One Group. Whether you're looking to buy your very first home or looking to downsize or upgrade, call Blahut anytime at 407-748-0484. This is the AAC Report, only on the Knightline Sports Network. I'm Jeff Allen. Thanks for hitting the play button. Got a great show for you today. Our spotlight game of the week from last week did not disappoint as Memphis outgunned SMU 54-48 in front of a sold-out Liberty Bowl. Brady White threw for 350 yards, 3 touchdowns. Antonio Gibson, a school record 386 all-purpose yards with 3 scores, as that put Memphis in the driver's seat in the Western Division at 4-1 and 8-1 overall. Here's Tigers head coach Mike Norvell.
Yeah, most definitely. Saturday was a special day, not only for our program, but for our city. Being able to host game day, the atmosphere there in the morning was an electric one. I thought it did all of our fan base, really the entire city, did just an exceptional job of showcasing the passion, the excitement, the joy about Memphis Tiger football, but it was just really a special occasion that morning, and then it carried over to Saturday night. And I thought our guys played at a high level. SMU's a very talented football team. It took all 3 phases to show up and make plays in big moments, and I thought our guys did a really nice job of that. It was a sold-out crowd, unbelievable home field advantage, a great atmosphere. It's something that I'll forever remember just because of the showcase and the opportunity that we had. We didn't play a perfect game by any means. There are a lot of mistakes, things that we have to continue to clean up. But I was proud of our football team on that stage at that moment to go out and to get the victory Saturday night. It was just something that we worked hard for and were able to accomplish. You mentioned Antonio Gibson. I thought played one of the best games that I've been around. I mean, I think he had 386 all-purpose yards. Offensively, running and catching the football. Had a kickoff return for a touchdown, which was a huge play in the game. It's just he's continuing to get better, and it was impactful in all phases. Riley Patterson did a great job as well with 2 kicks, one of 49, one of 50, and then making 2 more opportunities on field goal tries that was critical in our success for the game. But our team played at a high level, and now we've got to continue to improve and get ready through this through the bye week. Having a little bit more time between now and our next opponent in a talented Houston group. But we got to continue to focus on ourselves and get better, and that's what we came out yesterday in practice. And our guys had a great mindset, really good focus, and we got some great work in. So we got to do the same thing here this week.
As for the Mustangs, it was their first loss of the season, and although they have an identical record with the Tigers, Memphis holds the tiebreaker with that head-to-head victory, as well as with a victory over Navy. The Midshipmen lead the division by a half game of 5-1. Shane Bichelle threw for 456 yards and 3 TDs for the Ponies in defeat, and James Prochet caught 13 passes for 149 yards and a touchdown. Here's Mustangs head coach Sonny Dykes.
Game Saturday, it was a tough, hard-fought game. I thought Memphis really played well in the game. I was really impressed with the way Brady White, the quarterback, played. I thought he had, his best game, and we gave up a lot of big plays defensively. They did a good job of making some contested plays. We had some guys covered, and Brady threw good balls, and receivers made good catches, and that happens sometimes. And then other times we didn't tackle in some situations as well as we should have, and so we've got to keep improving there. Wasn't pleased with our special teams and really primarily our kickoff unit. I mean, obviously we struggled there, gave up a return for a touchdown, struggled the entire night, and so it's something that's been an issue for us. We haven't been able to kick the ball into the end zone consistently, and when you're kicking off as much as we are, 8 times a game, 9 times a game, then you've got to do a good job covering. And right now, from a depth perspective, we struggled to have enough depth to be able to do that effectively. So, it's like anything else. Those two things have hurt us a little bit, and it hurt us in the game Saturday night. Memphis has a good kick return unit, and we struggled to get those guys on the ground, and certainly made a difference in the ball game. So, we've got to get that improved. Liked our effort, liked the way our guys battled back, but made too many mistakes to have a chance to to be a good football team. Looking at East Carolina, I've been real impressed with the quarterback play. They've got two good receivers that really stand out. I thought the quarterback played exceptionally well. Last week against Cincinnati, they moved the ball, had a big lead on Cincinnati and ended up not holding on to it, but really was impressed with their offense. Like I said, in their quarterback play in particular, and they've got two really good wide receivers, guys that are really stand out. So it'll be a challenge for us. We've got to continue to improve defensively, not limit our big plays and do a better job getting off the field than we did on Saturday.
Memphis gets a bye this week, while SMU now gets ready to take on ECU, which had Cincinnati on upset alert. The Bearcats rallied to beat East Carolina 46-43 on Saturday night when Sam Crosa kicked a 32-yard field goal as time expired, allowing the Bearcats to stay unbeaten in conference and atop the Eastern Division. Bearcats head coach Luke Fickell.
Well, obviously, it was a very tough, hard-fought road victory. That we had to find a way. ECU in a lot of phases outplayed us. They really did a good job. I think defensively, we didn't have a bunch of answers for Holton and their passing attack. Obviously, we gave up an incredible amount of passing yards. And I think what it did was it made us realize anytime you go on the road or anytime you're playing inside this league, the balance is a lot better than people think, whether they're 0-3 or 0-4 in league play. There's players and there's opportunities, no matter who it is that you're playing, especially when you're on the road. So we found a way. I think the greatest thing is some way, somehow, we found a way late in that game, being down 10, to claw ourselves back in, make a couple plays to put ourselves in a position for our offense to drive the ball down the field and kick a 32-yard game-winning field goal to seal the deal. We had some, SMU was a little bit like this last year, maybe different because it wasn't as high scoring, but we were in a situation where we probably hadn't deserved to win the football game and found a way to, kick the field goal to go to overtime and win the game. So I think we grew a lot from that. So I expect that we'll grow a lot from that road victory this past weekend.
ECU's Holton Ahlers threw for a school record 535 yards and 4 scores, but threw a costly pick six to Ahmad Gardner, who ran it back for the 62-yard score to give the Bearcats that first lead since early in the second quarter. And after tying the game with a field goal, did the Pirates. The Cats came back and got the game winner. The Pirates fall to 3-6, 0-5 in conference. Pirates head coach Mike Houston.
Well, obviously, very disappointed in not being able to finish off the game and get the win this past Saturday night at home against Cincinnati. Certainly, I think a lot of the credit goes to Cincinnati for the way they were able to finish the game. The kicker did a great job, in a pressure situation right there with, the walk-off kick. Really excited about the way our kids competed, the way we played. I thought we had great energy. I thought we played with confidence. I thought we attacked, very well against a really, really good football team. Cincinnati is solid in all three phases, and they have, they don't have any weaknesses there. So just for our guys to go out and compete at the level we did, and really have the game, to a point where we had our opportunities to win it, and so it's part of the growth and trying to learn how to win those games, and that's something we got to get past that. We got to get past that hump and win a couple of those games like that, and you see yourself once you finally start doing it, you find a way to win those. So tough loss, but again, our guys come out of it very motivated. they know that they're playing better each week, and certainly we don't get any time to relax. We go to SMU, previously unbeaten. They lost a very close game at Memphis this past weekend. Two nationally ranked teams. So SMU still, comes into this game nationally ranked. It's their homecoming. They are extremely explosive offensively, play with great tempo. They have playmakers all over the field. Veteran quarterback, the transfer from Texas, and just really a dynamic offense. Defensively, they have a lot of depth. They're very versatile. They keep rolling guys in and out, and keep coming at you. The Mike Backer, Richard McBride, the transfer from Auburn, I think is really a solid player there. But really, they have solid talent across the board, on their defensive unit. So we're going to work it out for us this week. We're excited about the trip to Texas, and excited about the opportunity to compete again this Saturday at SMU.
Justin McMillan ran for 3 touchdowns and passed for another as Tulane outlasted Tulsa 38-26. Tulane becomes bowl eligible for the second straight year as they move to 6-3 on the year, 3-2 in conference. Green Wave head coach Willie Fritz.
Well, we're excited about the win. We had a couple tough ball games, and I just heard Coach Hype will talk about Tulsa, and they had some hard luck this season. They're an excellent ball club. I think they do a great job of coaching those guys and got some talented athletes. And, we didn't play as clean a ball game as we needed to. Had far too many penalties and but made some plays when we needed to walk away with the win. And P.J. Hall certainly played great for us. He's really developed as a football player since he's come here. Was lightly recruited when I first got the job, and he's just gotten better and better and better. And broke up a bunch of pass plays, had a big strip that resulted in the touchdown. And you always like to see your seniors play well. We're going to use this week to, prepare for the following week against Temple, but also get ourselves right in some areas that we're not doing a good job in, and get back to fundamentals and techniques, and just try to improve the wave more so than anything else. And then also, like everybody, will use this week for recruiting as well.
Hard luck Tulsa drops to 2-7, 0-5 in conference. Golden Hurricanes head coach Philip Montgomery.
Yeah, we had our opportunities in the game, fought our way back and ended up taking the lead there in the first half and just didn't sustain it. Had a couple of things obviously not go our way right there before half that, were tough. And so proud of our guys for continuing to battle and work. And, we've been in a lot of these close ball games. We've had, as you look at our schedule, you played SMU, Navy, Cincy, Memphis, Tulane, and now UCF all in a row. And just understanding that we're continuing to get better. We're continuing to grind through. And got another extremely tough opponent coming in this Friday on a short week. And, know a lot of guys on that staff. They do an outstanding job. They're doing it with a lot of talented guys. And we got our hands full this week with the Knights.
From Friday night, quarterback Malcolm Perry ran for 108 yards and 2 touchdowns and threw for 165 yards and another score in leading Navy to a 56-10 rout of UConn. His 5th straight 100-yard rushing performance for Perry. And Navy now 7-1, 5-1 in conference. As we mentioned earlier, in the standings, they hold a half-game lead in the West over Memphis. Midshipman head coach Ken Niumatalolo.
Thought it was a great win by our team win on the road against UConn. Really pleased with the way we played. And so, we move forward now to this bye week, and it comes at a great time. We're banged up like everybody else in the country at this part of the season, so we're going to try to be smart as we prepare, for Notre Dame. But, this bye, like I said, comes at a great time for us, and we'll do the best we can to try to get healed up and also prepare for Notre Dame.
Meanwhile, UConn falls to 2-7, 0-5 in conference. Huskies head coach Randy Edsall.
Navy is going into the game. I knew they were a really good team, and they proved to be that. Quarterback Malcolm Perry is outstanding. I mean, again, they deserve to be ranked in the top 25. We saw that came out. But again, one of the things that we did is we didn't do enough to help ourselves. We gave up too many explosive plays. Defensively, 15 plays accounted for 450 yards, 42 plays for like 123 yards. So, we just got to execute better there defensively, and then offensively, we turned the ball over 3 times in the first 6 possessions, which didn't help us that against Navy. But I thought our kids battled, but again, playing a team like that, top 25 team, you got to make sure that you execute at a higher level than what we did, and now we get to go face number 17 team in the country, well-deserved ranking for Cincinnati, and talented football team who's playing at a very high level, and so we'll have our work cut out for us, and hopefully we'll be able to minimize some of the mistakes we have and continue to grow and develop and get better as we head there this weekend.
UCF down Houston in their annual space-themed game, 44-29. Knights head coach Josh Heupel.
Yeah, just excited about the way our kids competed for 60 minutes, and I thought defensively played extremely well in the second half in particular, but played with great energy the entire day. Created some big plays, created a turnover with Novell Clark's INT and Brendan Hayes on the safety. Offensively, did some things really positively, created some big plays in the pass game and some explosive runs. There's some things that we got to be better at this week for us to go and play the way we're capable of on the road. And special teams were solid all day long. So, the challenge for us this week is continue to get better in every area, and good teams do that throughout the course of the season. Tulsa's a group that's going to play extremely hard. They're moving the football, and defensively have made it tough on people and lost a couple of close ones here. So I expect a great ball game on Friday night.
The Cougs held a 23-21 lead at the half before the Knights shut them down in the second half. Houston head coach Dana Holgerson.
I thought our guys went down and played with a lot of effort, and just continued to ignore the outside and the noise and play. And I think we're continuously getting better. That UCF's hard to beat, especially down there. They haven't lost since 2016 down there, so we knew it was going to be challenging. Played good, had an opportunity to make a field goal and go up at halftime. We just didn't have enough gas in the tank to be able to handle what they had there in the second half. So a lot of good things we can take from it. We'll, running out of bodies, so it's a good time for a bye week. So hopefully that'll allow us to be able to get healthy and get ourselves to a point to where we can finish the season with a few wins here.
And now for my nickel's worth on UCF, because 2 cents is not enough. As I was sitting in the stands, I glanced up at the scoreboard in the first quarter, a little over the 5-minute mark, and realized that 10 minutes into the game, UCF had only 7 yards on 6 plays. 2 3-and-outs, and Houston had held the football quite a bit. And it was a very, very sluggish start for the Knights, but they did get things going. And one of the things I liked in their arsenal this week was the Darryl Mack, Brandon Wimbush package, where both guys were in the game, and they ran that sweet little end around to Wimbush for 32 yards, which was an excellent play, and good to see him get a chance to contribute, and he's a big, strong runner, so some good opportunities there for him to do that. And of course, a couple plays later, it shows you how inept the officiating is in the conference. The Knights ran a play. It was the one where Mack threw the ball into the end zone, kind of fading back like he was going to run. Then he steps back and throws the pass. It was incomplete. But then they decided to do a review for the spot of the ball from the play before that. Hello? You're a little late for that, aren't you? And so in that way, shouldn't second down not have counted and they get another crack at it? Well, it turns out anyway, the Knights get a touchdown on the beautiful pass to Trey Nixon from Dylan Gabriel, and it was all good after that. But boy, it just amazes me sometimes what the officials do and the constant. They missed the punt that they said hit our guy. It's like they're very reluctant to overturn calls on replay. It's almost a rarity nowadays. Props also to Bentavious Thompson. He is a beast. And what a great future we have with him in the running back room as well. Had a big touchdown, a couple of touchdowns, a big long one, and he's just a bad man. He hits the hole and he makes things happen. So great to see him add some more contribution. And as far as the Knights game this week, do not sleep on Tulsa. It's a road game, and Tulsa has had both SMU beaten, only to lose. They had Memphis beaten and missed a chip shot field goal, and they've been in just about every game they have played, so they're hungry to get that marquee win, so there will be a huge target on the Knights' back this week, so they've got to be very careful and not looking ahead. South Florida and Temple face off this week, and both are coming off a bye. Let's first hear from Bulls head coach Charlie Strong.
Well, the good thing about the open week, it just came at the right time. You had a chance to just nurse some bruises and get guys back out on the field that have had some time off. But also we're able to just get some work in, knowing we're going to face an unbelievable team in Temple and what they've done thus far this season. So it's going to be a really good matchup for us on Thursday night. The good thing about it, we're at home and we need to go play well at home. But, excited about being on ESPN and going to have a good crowd to watch us play. And we just need to get focused and get locked in and make sure that we have our players ready to go.
Temple head coach Rod Carey now tells us how the Owls bye week went.
Yeah, it was a good week. Obviously, we needed it. We were a little bumped and bruised, like I'm sure everybody is right now, and so got some guys back healthy and got back on the field and got some good work in yesterday and today and earlier last week too, and really focused on ourselves. So it was a good week, and now a short week coming back, traveling down to USF.
The college football playoff rankings came out on Tuesday night. The American lands 4 teams in the top 25. Cincinnati comes in at number 20, Memphis number 21, Navy at 24, and SMU in the 25th slot. So besides having 4 in the AP poll, they also get 4 in the college football playoff poll, which is very interesting, as Cincinnati still has the leg up on the potential Group of 5 bid to the Cotton Bowl. So we'll keep an eye on those rankings as they go and see if UCF can find a way to sneak into there as well. The schedule for this week kicks off Thursday. Temple at UCF, 8 p.m. on ESPN. Temple leads the series 3-2, and they won last year 27-17. Friday night, the Knights at Tulsa, 7 p.m. on ESPN2. Tulsa leads the series 7-3 and won the last meeting 3 years ago by a 35-20 score. 2 games on Saturday, ECU at SMU, noon on ESPNU. ECU leads the series 4-3, but Memphis won in a big way the last time they played in 2016 by a 55-31 score. And UConn at Cincinnati, 3:30 on CBS Sports Network. Cincinnati leads that series all-time 12-3 and thumped the Huskies last year by a 49-7 score. Houston, Memphis, Navy, and Tulane are all on the open week. And the honors for the football side of things, the Offensive Player of the Week, Antonio Gibson. As we mentioned, 386 all-purpose yards, the most by an FBS player this season in that big win over SMU. And he also became the first player this year to score touchdowns 3 different ways on a rushing attempt, a pass reception, and that big kickoff return. The Defensive Player of the Week, P.J. Hall of Tulane, had 5 tackles, a tackle for a loss, and a forced fumble with 5 pass breakups, the most by an AAC player this season. in the Tulane victory over Tulsa. And the special teams player of the week, Riley Patterson of Memphis, he put up 18 points, the most by a kicker in the league this season. And he made field goals of 30, 49, 34, and 50 yards, and 6 for 6 on point after touchdowns. Coming up next, we'll be joined by Will Kennedy with the Power 6 Rundown newsletter, where the AAC Report continues in just a moment. Are you tired of the endless money pit of paying rent? Do you have a home you need to sell for top dollar? Talk to the Hometown Advantage award-winning real estate professional and fellow UCF Knight, Blake Blahut of Realty One Group. Blake has proven to produce results and a smooth process for his clients all across Central Florida. Whether you're looking to buy your very first home or looking to downsize or upgrade, talk to Blake Blahut. Visit him at his website, Blake'sOrlandoHomes.com, or contact him anytime at 407-748-0484. Again, Blake'sOrlandoHomes.com and 407-748-0484. Get the hometown advantage by working with Blake.
Island H2O Live, a new wave of water park.
Experience the next generation of fun at Island H2O Live. You choose the music, you choose the lighting, and you choose where to share your memorable moments at Florida's newest and most immersive water park.
Island H2O Live.
Now open in Kissimmee, located off US 192 and State Road 429 on Inspiration Boulevard.
Island H2O Live.
Well, we're changing things up a little bit on the AAC Report this week. Instead of a Spotlight Game of the Week, we're going to spotlight the conference, as it was a big weekend for the American. Will Kennedy of the Power 6 Rundown newsletter is joining us once again. And Will, we're glad to have you back on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jeff. I appreciate it.
So, Game Day hits Memphis for the big Memphis-SMU showdown. Second year in a row, the Game Day has picked an all-AAC matchup. And, boy, what a weekend it was for the folks in Memphis.
Oh, man, yeah, it was incredible. I mean, right on Beale Street, it looked like one fun time. And then you'd think Game Day would be the highlight of the weekend, but then the game starts, and sometimes they produce duds, but this was nothing close to a dud. It was probably one of the most exciting games I've seen all year. But then just the great stories they had. The story about Kenny Gainwell was great. Just all the fanfare and everything. To have a G5 program, an American program, highlighted like that is great. Like you said, the second year in a row. 6 times since 2010, Game Day has picked a group of 5 schools to host it, and 4 of those teams are currently in the AAC. And one of them was Western Michigan, their undefeated season. The other one was I'm blanking on the other one, but it was Boise 1 year in 2010. But yeah, so it's great to see the AAC getting that recognition, being consistently over the course of the last few years being the best G5 conference.
Yeah, and before we actually talk about the Memphis-SMU game, I thought it was important to note that during the broadcast that Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit were showing a lot of love and a lot of praise on the conference too.
Yeah, they absolutely were. I couldn't really hear it. Honestly, full disclosure, I was kind of going back and forth, especially in the second half, trying to look at that ECU Cincinnati game, because that kind of came out of nowhere. But yeah, I had the closed captionings on every few minutes. I saw Kirk Herbstreit saying something along the lines of, this conference is really up there. They have great quarterbacks. They have great skill position players. And I think that was on full display for the entire country on Saturday night. I was even getting people texting me, my friends from grad school who didn't graduate undergrad from AAC schools, are like, wow, the Power 6 is kind of legit. You weren't messing around with this newsletter. Like, it's a good conference. And I'm like, I've been trying to tell you guys that for how long now?
Yes, your timing is definitely excellent in that regard. And then we get a great game between Memphis and SMU coming in undefeated. And Memphis got a sold-out crowd at the Liberty Bowl. And, man, what a great game that was.
Oh, it was insane. I mean, Shane Buechele, 456 yards, 3 touchdowns. Brady White, 350 yards, 3 touchdowns. No turnovers on either side of the ball. I thought that was going to be the difference maker. Turns out the difference maker was special teams, because SMU special teams this year have been horrendous the entire season. They've been really bad. I think Memphis' average drive start was somewhere around the 50, whereas SMU's was probably within their own 20. And then obviously the big kickoff return for a touchdown from Antonio Gibson, who was just Antonio Gibson kind of came out of nowhere. When you think of Memphis offense, you think of like Brady White, Kenny Gainwell, DeMonte Coxey, even the greatest name in the AAC, Joey Magnifico, before you think of Antonio Gibson. And then he comes out of here with 386 all-purpose yards. One of the greatest rushing attempts from a wide receiver I've ever seen, 78 yards, just plowed through like 10 SMU defenders, it seems like. And then obviously the 50-yard TD catch and the kickoff return for a touchdown, which ultimately put the game away.
Yeah, and then you look at SMU, they pretty much had to fight uphill most of the game, and they kept in it, and they kept grinding, and a great testimony to the job that Sonny Dykes has done with that team this year.
Oh, yeah. For my money, I've said this in my newsletter a couple of times, the SMU story, especially before they lost this week, that's the best story in college football. With what they've gone through over the past 30 years with the death penalty and just being just really bad for a really long time. It's great to see a program like that just get back on its feet and get back to its heritage. And hopefully they're not, giving away Trans Ams anymore. But actually, I saw during game day, one of the best signs they said is we paid players before it was cool. So that was pretty funny.
I did see that one too.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and then you just look at the fact that they have really come out of nowhere. The Western Division is so stacked this year, and now Memphis has taken control of it with that victory. They also have a game in hand on Navy because they beat Navy earlier in the year, even though they trail by a half game in the standings. Boy, then you even look at a team like Tulane that has been very competitive, and Tulsa had both SMU and Memphis beat and let those games get away.
Yeah, I think I came on your show week 3 or 4, something along those lines, and you said, is there something that you're like under the radar? And I told you, Tulsa is like sneakily good. Their record doesn't really show it, but they played every team close. They should have beat Memphis until their kicker pushed like a 23-yarder, and they took SMU to double overtime and should have beat them there. Tulsa's a great team. The AAC West in general, really competitive top to bottom, and the AAC East there's a couple good teams, and the rest there's a big fall off, and then there's another massive fall off to when you get to UConn. But the West is really, from top to bottom, they're a really competitive division. East is a little less so, but it's a great, really healthy conference right now. Even the bad teams like USF is one of the worst teams right now, and they seem to be on an uphill trajectory the past few weeks. They've been playing really well.
Yeah, and then you mentioned you were also keeping an eye on that Cincinnati ECU game, as was I. And man, what a great game Holt Ahlers had, throwing for 5 touchdowns, over 500 yards. But that pick 6 would be probably the one pass he'd love to have back.
Oh man, yeah, 535 yards, 10.3 yards per completion, 4 touchdowns, completed well over 50% of his passes. This was a career game for Holt Ahlers. I know he was only a sophomore, but it was ridiculous. And he just made that critical mistake. Everything was going right for them. They were killing Cincinnati, especially on third downs. There was something like 10 for 17 on third down conversions, which is just unheard of, especially against a defense like Cincinnati. But then you make that one mistake and find a way to lose the game. The defense for ECU played. They held Desmond Ridder in check. He had a really bad game throwing the ball, but all game it seemed that they could not defend a quarterback draw, and that's what ended up doing them in. We had the pick 6, and they ended up tying the game, and then Desmond Ridder just runs with about a minute left, runs for like 40-something yards into ECU territory on just a basic quarterback draw that they couldn't stop all night.
Yeah, and speaking of running quarterbacks, how about Malcolm Perry of Navy? A bounce back season for Navy. I had Joe Miller from the Navy Radio Network on before the season, and he thought it would be a bounce back year, but he said this is even way beyond his expectations, as the mids are now 7-1, 5-1 in conference, and Malcolm Perry is he's putting up Keenan Reynolds type performances.
Yeah, and it's so weird because last year he was so bad at being a quarterback for Navy, they moved him to slot receiver. And it's just insane the production he's had just 1 year. It's the same system to an extent. And they're going shotgun, which is kind of shocking. From like seeing Navy in a shotgun formation made my jaw drop the first time I saw it. But they're doing things. Ken Niumatalolo said before the season that they're going to change the offense up a bit. They're still an option team at heart, but they're going to do some things to get Perry more comfortable. This week against it's UConn, so it's UConn, but Perry threw the ball for more yards than he did run. He ran for like 110 and threw for like 160 or something like that.
Yep.
So he can get it done both ways. Obviously they're going to predominantly be on the run, but I mean, Malcolm Perry, he's just legit, and we got a few more years to worry about him.
Yeah, and then you also look at what Navy is doing. They're doing things differently on defense. They look very aggressive and are putting a lot of different schemes out there. It's been fun to watch.
Yeah, new defense coordinator. His name escapes me at the moment, but yeah, I mean, coming into the season, the defense was kind of like the thing that was probably terrifying Navy fans, specifically the defensive backs. I mean, they were giving up yards all over the field last year to everybody, and they were getting blown out in most games. But this year, I mean, they've just locked down, haven't given opposing quarterbacks much. The only full Navy game I've watched was against the USF, and I mean, granted, their quarterback was on like one arm and one leg, but he couldn't get anything going. They held with 3 points the entire game.
Yeah, and Brian Newberry is the defense coordinator.
Brian Newberry,
yep. And he was at Kennesaw State for the last 4 years, and he helped lead them to the FCS quarterfinals the last couple of seasons. And he runs a 4-2-5, 3-4, and they just really mix things up.
Yeah, it was a great hire, and it really, like you said, it really keeps the opposing quarterbacks guessing. And what I've seen, I mean, UConn was hanging around with them for the first quarter, which I was stunned by. I think it was 13-10, and then I turned away for 20 minutes, and it was like 54-10. I'm like, okay, that's more like it from UConn. But yeah, I mean, Brian Newberry. Sorry, his name escaped me, but yeah, Brian Newberry was he's really switching it up on quarterbacks, trying to make sure they never see the same thing twice. And when they do get up to the line, it might look like the same thing, but once the ball is snapped, it goes to a completely different coverage.
And Houston, it was a team that a lot of folks had high expectations on for the season with Dana Holgerson coming in, Derek King coming back, but then this season has kind of gone down by the wayside for them with Derek King deciding to redshirt. And I'm not entirely convinced he's coming back to Houston myself. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so the first time we talked was the day this was announced, the redshirt saga. It seems the more I read into it and the more I listen to it, and I listen to Holgerson speak and stuff like that, I think he'll probably end up coming back. Houston's in a weird spot right now. I mean, they held UCF tough for the first half. They were leading at halftime by 2 or 3 points, I believe. And then the UCF third quarter offense just came around, and then the interception in the red zone happened in early in the first half. And once that happened, you kind of realize, like, okay, like they don't really stand a chance. They're playing their backup quarterback in reality, their backup running back. They're not even their best receivers are out there just because they're all redshirting. But Houston, they got 3 games left. 2 of the teams they're playing are in the top 25, and then the other one's Tulsa. So they could realistically not win another game this year because Tulsa's, like we said, we've been playing everybody tough.
Yeah, most definitely. And yeah, that was a very interesting UCF Houston game where, the Knights only had 7 yards in the first 10 minutes of the game, which is shocking, having 2 3-and-outs, and Houston was holding the ball quite a bit. And then the second half, UCF's defense totally shut them down, and it was critical that they held them to field goals in the first half and got a red zone turnover, because that could have been a different outcome in the first half.
Oh, yeah, that red zone turnover, I think, was the turning point of the game. Even though, like we said, they had the lead going into halftime, once they got that red zone turnover and then the offense started clicking on that very next drive, Gabe Davis made a ridiculous catch down the sideline that very few receivers in this conference can make. Like, James Prochet is probably the only other one that could make that catch.
Yep.
That was the moment I was like, okay, I probably don't really have to watch this game anymore. Like, I kind of know what's going to happen from this point on.
Well, I tell you what, it's interesting now, UCF trails Cincinnati in the East. Cincinnati won their previous matchup during the season, so the Knights need help, and they almost got it from ECU, but you got to give it to Cincinnati. That was when you get those games that you're not expecting, where the underdog is kind of knocking you around a little bit, they found a way to get it done.
Oh, absolutely. Michael Warren was a horse. He had 18 carries and he had 141 yards. So it's like, my math isn't great, but it's like 8 yards a carry, I think. Something like that. He had 3 touchdowns. Desmond Ridder had a historically off night. It was terrible by his standards and by quarterbacking standards in general. But, the people who needed to step up around him stepped up just barely enough to get a win. And ECU, I know their record doesn't indicate it, but I think Mike Houston's doing something down there. These aren't his guys, and they're playing competitively for the most part. They held with UCF, especially in the second half, until late. I think there will be good times again in Greenville sooner rather than later. Not this season, but maybe 1 or 2 seasons down the road.
Yeah, no, I've been highly touting him because he was a great hire, and they needed a guy that could come in and change a culture. And his background is that he comes in and he gets things turned around.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like I said, these aren't his guys. He's just inheriting a bunch of Scotty Montgomery guys. For the most part, he had a very abbreviated signing class because, I mean, he didn't get hired till December, January, and he's doing really well with the guys he has that he just inherited. So once he gets his guys in to run his system, I'm excited to see what it's going to look like at ECU.
Yeah. So as we, November is when the rubber hits the road as far as championships and things getting decided. How do you think things are going to play out over the next few weeks?
So I think Cincy's going to lock up the East. I really do. I think they'll lose to Memphis, but I don't think they lose another game on their current schedule. And if they do, I also am like, even if they do have 2 losses and UCF only has 1, I'm sorry. Yeah, if they do have 2 losses and UCF has 1, UCF goes and wins the East, obviously. But I'm not so sure UCF will only have 1. This game against Tulane is, I've been saying it all year, Tulane is a good team, and they have the 15th best offense in the country. Especially Will Hall has done amazing things over there, and if he's not a head coach or a Power 5 coordinator at the end of this year, he will be next year. I mean, Tulane's a really sneakily good team. Their defense has been a little shaky lately, but I mean that's what they were based on in the beginning of the season, and I'm sure they'll figure it out, especially because they have a bye week this week before they play UCF. That game could be a potential trap game for the Knights. Yeah, and not to mention they can't sleep on Tulsa this week either because if Tulsa's had those close calls against Memphis and Cincinnati, Memphis and SMU, you figure okay they're really hungry to get one of these marquee victories on their in their win column. Yeah, I mean they've been so close so many times, and they've honestly found ways to lose the game. Really, they've just missed field goals. They got way too conservative in play calling in the fourth quarter against SMU. Then they missed a chip shot field goal against Memphis that they had it in the bag, and then they just found a way to lose it. And it was really heartbreaking because you want a team like Tulsa to do something, especially for their coach who is, I mean, realistically with their win-loss record, he's probably on their way out, but they're just fighting so hard for him. Yeah, they're trying so hard to get that win to maybe keep him around, and it's just not, the coin flips aren't going their way. Yeah, no question. So you figure when Memphis is going to hang on in the West? Yeah, I mean, coming into this year, I thought Memphis was going to be overrated. I'm like, yeah, you lose Darnell Henderson, you got this kid Gainwell, who knows how good he's going to be. I mean, he's a redshirt freshman, he could be okay, but he's not going to be anything like Henderson. Then you lose Patrick Taylor in week 1. He hasn't really played since. And Brady White was kind of he was okay last year. And then this year, Kenny Gainwell comes out of nowhere and it's just amazing. They got receivers and tight ends that could spread the ball around anywhere. They don't really have a true number 1. I guess DeMonte Coxey is kind of a number 1, but everybody gets open all the time. So they have so many people to just toss it up to. And I mean, Brady White's playing great. The defense is doing just enough in most cases. So, I mean, they should be undefeated. I mean, a blown call by the refs at Temple really is the reason they lost that game, even after turning the ball over 4 times. Yeah. Well, Will, you got the newsletter that comes out every Thursday. Why don't you tell folks how they can get hooked up with the Power 6 Rundown? Yeah, absolutely. So I don't have a website yet. I'm still in the process of getting that up and running. But for now, you can follow me on Twitter @ByWillKennedy, and the link to subscribe is right in my Twitter bio. All right, sounds good. Will Kennedy, the Power 6 Rundown newsletter. Thanks so much for talking about the conference with us. Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for having me. And the Power 6 Rundown endorses fine AAC content by the Knightline Sports Network. Okay, I'm going out on a limb and saying that, but I feel like I have the authority to say that, at least in this instance. Checking out other sports in conference and women's soccer, the playoffs are underway. On Sunday, 3rd-seeded UCF defeated the 6th-seed Houston 5-0, while the 5-seed SMU went on the road and picked up a 1-0 victory against the 4th-seed Cincinnati. And so now it's on to Memphis for the semifinals on Thursday. Game 3, UCF takes on USF. That'll be 5:30 Eastern and can be seen on the American Digital Network. And then SMU is at the top seed Memphis, 8 p.m. on the American Digital Network. And then Sunday, the final will be at 2 p.m. on ESPNU. And Memphis is the regular season champ, earned four year-end honors
as Elizabeth Moberg earned Goalkeeper of the Year. Clarissa Larissi was named Co-Offensive Player of the Year, and Maya Jones was unanimously selected as the league's Rookie of the Year. Memphis's coaches were recognized as the Coaching Staff of the Year. USS Evelyn Viens was the Co-Offensive Player of the Year. The second year in a row she's earned that honor, while teammate Andrea Hochstadter repeated as Midfielder of the Year. UCF's Kanya Palmer was named Defensive Player of the Year, and the Knights also garnered the Team Fair Play Award. Men's soccer, number 6 ranked UCF is just the third squad in the league's 7-year history to post an undefeated conference record. 2019 marks the first ever outright regular season title for the Knights as a member of the conference. And now it's time for the playoffs. First round kicks off on Saturday, and those will be hosted on campus sites. The 6th seed UConn is at the number 3 seed South Florida, and that's 7 p.m. on Saturday. And the other game in the first round will be number 5 Temple at number 4 Memphis at 8 p.m. The semifinals will be on Wednesday next week and hosted here in Orlando at UCF and broadcast on the American Digital Network. The winner of the UConn-USF game will take on number 2 SMU 4:30, and the winner of the Temple-Memphis matchup will take on top-seeded UCF at 7 p.m., and the championship Saturday will be on ESPN3 at 7 p.m. And checking out the last Player of the Week honors for the regular season, Adrian Bilhart of USF, key player in back-to-back conference wins, propelling the Bulls to the 3 seed in the AAC. He tallied 3 goals over 2 games last week. Defensive Player of the Week is Javane Brown, also of the Bulls. And in the 4-0 shutout against Cincinnati, he scored the game's opening goal just 6 minutes in. And on Tuesday, Brown and the Bulls in the 3-1 victory over Memphis only yielded 6 shots on goal. The goalkeeper of the week, Grant McKella of SMU, collected another 2-0 week between the pipes, including his 5th shutout of the season. And the rookie of the week, Gianluca Arcangeli of UCF, a big difference maker in last week as he helped them earn the outright regular season title. In the 85th minute against Memphis on Saturday, he netted the lone goal. And then in the scoring in the last game against Cincinnati, in what would be a 3-2 overtime win, he opened the scoring in that game. So that concludes the Player of the Week honors for the regular season. Turning to volleyball, looking at the standings there, Houston still atop the Western Division with a 9-3 mark. SMU right behind them at 8-4. Tulsa and Tulane at 7-5. In the East, Cincinnati and UCF are tied atop the division at 11-1. And really, those are really the top of the conference. ECU, the next closest at 5-7. The players of the week for volleyball, Jordan Thompson of Cincinnati, turning in one of the greatest single-game offensive performances in NCAA history in a 3-0 week for the Bearcats. She paced the American with 88 kills. That's a 7.33 per set average, and the best hitting percentage for the week with an impressive 446 on 168 total attacks, and added 3 service aces and 33 digs. Defensive Player of the Week, Taylor Horsfall of Tulsa. It's 5th time this season she has pulled that honor to her name, and she led the American with 64 digs and a 7.11 digs per set average last week. And yeah, guess what? Already time to start talking basketball. Can't believe it's back already. And of course, the AAC Report was born during March Madness. So I will have, besides loving March Madness like crazy, I will always now reflect on that time when the AAC Report was born. And in opening night action, the conference went 7-0 on Tuesday night. Tulsa beat Houston Baptist 80-72. ECU over VMI 80-68. Memphis rolled 97-64 over South Carolina State. South Florida beat Arkansas Pine Bluff 70-41. SMU over Jacksonville State 74-65. Temple a 70-62 win over Drexel, and Wichita State beat Omaha 68-54. And looking at the watch lists for the season coming up for the Naismith Trophy Player of the Year, Two players on that watch list from the conference, Jaron Cumberland of Cincinnati, James Wiseman of Memphis. Cumberland is also on the list for the Jerry West Award for shooting guards. For the Julius Erving Award for small forwards, Precious Achiuwa of Memphis. The power forward Karl Malone Award, Alexis Yetna of USF was on that list, but bad news as he suffered a left knee injury and now will miss the entire 2019-2020 season. And James Wiseman of Memphis is on the watch list for the center position for the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Award. And some interesting games coming up to make note of. Cincinnati on Wednesday, as we're recording this podcast, is playing number 18 Ohio State. Number 14 Memphis will play number 15 Oregon on November 12th in Portland. And UConn will host number 6 Florida coming up on November 17th. Turning to women's basketball, the Tuesday night openers, it was SMU beating McNeese 81-60. South Florida romped over Jacksonville 70-39. Memphis was a 57-51 winner over Alcorn State. Temple beat Fairfield 77-59. Cincinnati a 68-62 winner over Utah. Georgia Tech blew out Houston 69-38, so a loss there for the conference. Tulane beat Jackson State 82-46, and Tulsa fell to Stephen F. Austin 67-63. And in Wednesday action, ECU was defeated by Middle Tennessee State 68-66, and UCF beat Pittsburgh 74-58. Those were both 11 a.m. starts on a Wednesday. And looking at the watch list for women's basketball, for the Nancy Lieberman Award, KK Wright from UCF, Crystal Dangerfield of UConn on that list. The Ann Myers Drysdale Award watch list has Krista Williams from UConn. The Shara Miller Award watch list has Megan Walker and Mia Davis. Megan Walker's from UConn, Davis from Temple. And the Lisa Leslie Award nominee is Olivia Nelson-Dodota of UConn. And one final note in sports from cross country at the 2019 American Athletic Conference Cross Country Championships, Tulsa reigned supreme in the final team standings. The Golden Hurricane became the first program in the American to sweep the meet since 2015 by taking the men's and women's team championships last Friday morning. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at JeffAllen_88, and I'll hope you also will check out my personal podcast. You can find that over at JeffAllenSportsTalk.com. And don't forget, the Knightline Sports Network has you covered for all your Knights coverage as the UCF Tulsa game takes place Friday night. It'll be broken down Sunday morning, the morning after, which will be the morning after the morning after. Andrew Fagley will have that for you Sunday morning at 9 on ESPN Orlando 580. And then he will join up with Trace Troco for another edition of the flagship program of Knightline on Sunday night. And then our friends Mike and Adam at the Sons of UCF will also bring their twist to the post-game coverage and the look ahead. And we'll have another jam-packed AAC report again for you next week. As this one had a lot going on as some sports are ending, some sports beginning, and it's all converging. And we are glad to bring you all the coverage. Thanks for joining us for the AAC report only on the Knightline Sports Network. I'm Jeff Allen. Thanks for listening.